My fellow flames, welcome back to another Wuthering Waves video. My name is Aemeath, and the question I have today is how powerful is Aemeath? How powerful and how broken is Aemeath of a character within Wuthering Waves? She's been out for almost a week now, and I want to know exactly how good she is. I summoned Aemeath. I'm currently building Aemeath so I can bring content to you about Aemeath, but I need to know what I'm dealing with. I need to know the power that's at my fingertips. I need to know how powerful is our daughter. Well, today we're going to be reacting to Juice's video because Juice apparently has been doing excessive testing when it comes down to Aemeath to see how powerful she is. Now, I don't have her weapon because, you know, we got absolutely shafted by the banner to the point where we got an early 5-star, lost the 50-50, and I had to go to hard pity to get my Aemeath, which means we didn't have enough pulls to get the weapon. So, thank you, Kuro. Thank you, Wuthering Waves. As always, you guys did it again and shafted me. But anyway, let's see what Juice has to say. We love reacting to Juice videos. We've done many of reactions to Juice's videos. She's a very insightful content creator when it comes down to characters, when it comes down to these kind of games. So without further ado, let's get into this. If you enjoyed this reaction, leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe if you are new. Without further ado, let's get into this.
Our dearest Aemeath Star Trail has been out for a while, and since I've had the chance to test her out more extensively, I thought I'd deliver my more fleshed out thoughts on the character and evaluate whether my pre-release pros and cons were accurate or not.
Okay.
My name is Juice, and let's get into it.
Let's do it.
So, to clarify, I did indeed have access to the media server for this character,
okay,
but I decided to do plenty of testing on my own account as well to see how this character performs and see how
I want to know how powerful I want to know how powerful she is and what I need to build her in order for me to create the content that I have in mind.
Using gear that I farmed myself. Right now her gear is pretty good. I mostly just have to fix one of her 1 costs because it's lacking a crit damage roll, but otherwise I have a pretty good build on her. Now, with that being said, I have to say this character is absolutely busted.
Confirmed. Confirmed. She's busted. She's broken. Explain why.
One of the first things that I said is that she would be an insane toon break DPS. Yes, absolutely. The toon breaks that she does feel so freaking good. She chunks down so much of the enemy's HP with her toon breaks, and it is absolutely nuts. Generally, you want a toon break just whenever you can, but if you can toon break before you use her first ult, that would be the most ideal time to do so that you can fully benefit from an S0 Mornier's mark. However, if you have an S1 Mornier, then just do it whenever you want because...
I have an S1 Mornier. Yep, I have an S1 Mornier. I am at a significant advantage to what a lot of people, most likely are if they didn't go for Mornier or didn't go for an S1 Mornier. I have an S1 Mornier. And I have Aemeath, and I have my S1 Shorekeeper ready to go.
It's not really going to matter, and you're going to have full uptime regardless. But in any case, she is a really strong toon break DPS, and honestly, I am not surprised. Linny and Mornier were such strong support characters that formed such a powerful core that Aemeath being as powerful as she is doesn't really surprise me whatsoever. She is absolutely busted. Even if you don't have the complete toon break core and you've substituted Mornier for Shorekeeper or Linny for Lupa or something along those lines, then goodness me, she is still ridiculously powerful.
That's good! Because my team is going to be Aemeath, Mornier, and Shorekeeper. I'm going to have Shorekeeper bust out her big orbital surrounding, you know, thing, what's it, the main expansion, and then Mornier is going to come in and mark the enemy and, you know, criticality report, you know, all that stuff, and then Aemeath's going to go, you know, her super mech ultimate.
This unit is broken. And I'm personally having a lot of fun with it.
I've never heard Juice exclaim, "She's broken." Like I've seen Juice go, "She's very good," or "He's very powerful." Like very useful, very powerful, very valuable to your account. Not very powerful. Like she's going over 9,000. Her power level's over 9,000.
So I'll say this, she is absolutely the best user of toon break right now, the strongest toon break DPS in the game, and of course, the only dedicated toon break DPS in the game, at least as of now, and yeah, she's absolutely nuts. That pro 100% held up. Now, one thing I will say, though, is that, like I expected, Fusion Burst just isn't good on her at the minute.
Okay.
You can use it, and there is pretty strong shield in
She does have two forms. She does actually have two forms. She has two like combat styles, Fusion Burst and like the Toon Break version. That doesn't surprise me. I mean, I'm sure they're gonna buff it, you know.
away if you would like to use it, but it's not going to be anywhere near as good as simply using Toon Break. Now, I will say, I don't necessarily think it's always going to be like this, and I do expect that eventually Chisa is going to have her time to shine. But don't be baited into pulling for Chisa right now. Do not be baited.
I got baited in 2.8. I got baited. I should never have summoned for that doggy doo-doo character. That character is a waste of Astrite. If you like the character design and you liked her in the story and you just want to have her because you're a casual player that likes these character stories and designs, then I have no problem with you doing that. In fact, I implore you to do that. It makes it more enjoyable for you. But other than that, in terms of meta, she's dog shit.
Into getting Chisa right now. If you like the character, go for it, but just keep in mind, you don't need her at the minute, and until Fusion Burst gets a dedicated second slot teammate, it's just not going to be good. As it currently stands, it is a pretty pointless mode to use, when you could literally just swap out Chisa for Shorekeeper, use Toon Break mode, and do far more damage. If you really want an additional use case for your Chisa, then fine, but ultimately, just use Toon Break mode. It is astronomically better. Another thing that I mentioned is that she would likely be broken. Yeah, no, she is absolutely the best DPS in the game at the minute. And
the best in the game? Like, period? Like, she's the best in the game? No, serious? That good? Like, that good?
Nobody comes close.
Oh my god, she is that broken, huh? But what about my S6 Zani, though? What if you've got an S6 Zani? Huh?
Before, Filova was pretty comfortably the best DPS in the game before 3.x came out, but at this point, yeah, Aemeath has kind of stolen the show. She is ridiculously powerful, and if you really care about meta, let me just tell you now that if you manage to get this character's full premium team, goodness me, are you in for a treat. This unit is extremely strong. And even if you're unable to play her best in slot double Toon Break core team, all of her other 5-star alternatives are really good. Now, I emphasize 5-star alternatives because if you don't have at least one of the good teammates for her, whether that be Lupa, Mornier, Linny, something along those lines, you're gonna have a harder time team building. It's especially gonna be rough if you don't have a good second slot for her, because then you're gonna be stuck using John Shin as a budget option, which just isn't good. Now, if you have Lupa, then you can run something like Aemeath Mortefi Lupa, and that's going to be good, and that actually is a good budget team, but that requires you having the Wolf Warrior, and not everybody's gonna have her because she's on the more niche side.
Gotcha.
A pretty underrated character, she's extremely strong. So yes, definitively the best DPS in the game. I don't think this is a surprise to anybody considering how strong the double Toon Break core already was, but she is so astronomically better than the other DPSs that the gap is very noticeable. Another thing that I mentioned is that she would have dynamic gameplay because of her ability to switch between modes, both herself and her mech. Yes, this is true. There have been even more rotations discovered since I made my initial guide on her, but I personally want to wait nearer to the end of her banner so that I can make a complete video featuring all of her different rotations, because this character keeps getting freaking new rotations, all of which have different benefits.
She just keeps evolving. So basically what you're telling me, Juice, is that this character has been out for almost a week, and we have people like you testing day in, day out about what's good and what's bad and what can be done. And you're still finding new things? Incredible. Incredible.
So this unit is extremely dynamic in terms of gameplay.
Look at the damage she's dishing out in the background. Did you see that? Hold on. Look at the numbers on that.
Extremely dynamic in terms of gameplay.
Oh, it was like 352,000 and like 525,000. What the what?
Choose how you personally want to play her. Certainly one of the more dynamic DPS playstyles in the game, and I should say that she's also not necessarily hard to learn, so once you get the hang—
Was that 480,000? Did I just see 480,000 with the plunging spear of God?
Of her, then you can very easily play this character. She's accessible enough because you can alter her rotation to offer more normal attacks, if you're having a hard time working with the tightness of her optimal rotations. But if you're relatively good and you're confident, then you can indeed just use her tightest, most optimal rotations and do a ridiculous amount of damage, and optimizing on her is actually rewarding, because if you use her current best rotation, that gets you 90k DPS. If you don't understand how good that is, Cardathea
Juice is swap out, back swap, back swap, back flip, front flip, side by side, up, down, crouch, jump, pause, unpause, and then rotating like that. I'm not that skilled, so I'm just gonna go Shorekeeper, ult, Mornier, skill, ult, Aemeath.
is in the 70 to 75k range, and she is still really good in TOA. And if you use her second best rotation, that is 87 to 88k DPS, her third best 85k, you get the point. Optimizing on this character actually rewards you, because even though those sound like small increases, no, those are actually good, significant increases. So yes, her
how much you gonna get here?
Extremely dynamic and off
730,000 damage.
Offers very nice rewards.
I'm sorry?
If you're willing to go the extra kilometer and learn her more optimized gameplay. Another thing that I mentioned is that at least in terms of limited 5 stars, she would have some really nice teammate options. And I will say this is definitely true. While Double Toon Break is definitively her most powerful team core, you can easily substitute the characters that you don't have for somebody else and still clear very, very quickly. For instance, like I said earlier, no Mornier, but you have Linny, then use Shorekeeper instead. You've got Mornier, but you don't know who to put in the second slot. Lupa's gonna serve you just fine. Let's say you have the Wolf Warrior, but you didn't pull for either of the 3.0 characters, then you can use Aemeath, Mortefi, and Lupa, and that is going to be a very good team. So all around,
Shorekeeper, Mornier, and Aemeath, I'm gonna see what they do.
you definitely
I'm gonna see what they do. Watch people go, that's not optimal, let's get a stunt in your growth. I don't care.
have options, and there are plenty more that I mentioned whenever I made my guide on her, so you genuinely aren't strapped for choice. But I will say, the double-edged sword here is that she doesn't really have good budget options. You do want at least one of her good limited 5-star support.
Which I do.
In order to truly
Which I do.
The peak of her potential. Her free-to-play team is just being carried by Aemeath's own inherent strength. And I'm gonna talk about that a little bit more later. But because she is running alongside Lupa, she does at least have the problem of not being able to use the 3.0 unit.
Look, I got 424,000. That's crazy.
On an account that didn't pull them sorted. Because then you can just pull for the Wolf Warrior, and there you go. You can get yourself a very sufficient Aemeath team. Something else that I mentioned is that she doesn't really require her signature weapon. Now, I will
She doesn't require it? Well, I'm gonna still get it, but
say, if you want that crazy 90k DPS optimized performance, you do want her signature weapon.
then I'm going for a signature weapon. There you go then. You've just you kind of just answered. I'm going for that. I'm going for that weapon.
But you do not need it, and she is still really broken on Emerald of Genesis. To be honest with you, most of the testing that I did on the media server, I played with Emerald of Genesis, and it was still extremely strong.
Really? Emerald of Genesis? I might do a video using that then. Really? Emerald of Genesis.
Still cleared with tons of time to spare, and all around, the unit's gameplay was still very seamless. Now, I will add that the TOA shield is very strong for Aemeath, and it is really good for her alt nukes, but I do want to add that just in general, she only loses about 14% performance if you use EOG, and it's her second best weapon too. This surprises me very little because EOG is just a really strong weapon choice in general, but all around, it's really nice to see that yes, Aemeath on EOG is a very strong, viable pick, and if you're unable to get her signature weapon, then you can easily just use the original standard sword, and you're going to get by excellently.
That's really good.
Not just fine, excellently. You're not getting her top peak potential, but because this character is so inherently strong, you don't really need her top peak potential. In fact, I would be a little bit worried if endgame ever got to the point where you would need that much potential, because Aemeath is just that girl right now. She is obscenely strong. Another thing that I should talk about that I touched on earlier is that she doesn't really have good budget teams. Now, what I mean by this is that you do want at least one more specific 5-star teammate for her. Now, Linny and Mornier are not really specific teammates. They are extremely universal characters that are amazing for basically every Wuthering Waves account. So, to be honest, most people should have pulled at least one of them anyway, just if they wanted a character that was really strong. And I think most people who actually care about meta probably tried to get at least one of them. But it is a realistic scenario in which somebody might not like the characters, or maybe they just weren't able to get one of the characters because they lost their 50-50, or they were coming back from a break and they didn't explore enough in time or do enough content in time. So I understand there are situations in which you're just not going to have the characters. In that case, your best bet is just to get Lupa, because otherwise, you're not going to have anybody else to really use with her. Because sure, Shorekeeper's gonna work, but for your second slot, you basically just have to use Johnshin for the Liberation damage bonus. That is the only reason Johnshin is viable, and if you don't have Johnshin's S2, then it's going to feel a whole lot worse.
Man, Johnshin got sidelined. Johnshin got sidelined so badly, man. The last mail we got before Luke got sidelined, packed up, and put in a case, never to be revealed again. What a waste. What a waste of a character that was, huh? He's still viable, but damn, man.
To use. So budget Aemeath, while it works, it is nowhere near as good as literally any of her teams it uses a limited 5-star teammate. Now, thankfully, because Lupa is so strong for her, you can just get her, and that is problem solved. Aemeath, Mortefi, Lupa is a good team, I will stand by that. But if you don't even want to get Lupa, or if you just can't get her because you don't have the asteroids to do so, or you lost your 50-50, it's gonna be rough. It is gonna be rough. And you want to get a Linny or Mornier literally as soon as humanly possible. She'll be fine for now because it's her shield period, but it's gonna get rougher as time goes on, so you do want to get at least one limited 5-star teammate for her. This is mostly just a result of Wuthering Waves not really making 4-star characters, and at this point, I wouldn't expect them to.
Yeah, the 4-star drought is so cooked. The game's so cooked 4 stars. The game is actually so cooked for 4 stars, and the problem is Kuro Games don't actually care about you earning your 4-star. You know, like Booling was cool. Booling as a 4-star unit was cool. But you know what they do wrong every single time a 4-star's released? They put them on the rerun banner. Why do you put them on the rerun banner? It's the most pathetic, ridiculous thing I've ever heard. I've ever seen. Do not put the brand new 4-star on the rerun banners. Put the brand new 4-star on the brand new 5-star banner. It's going to entice people to summon for your brand new character more. No one's going to summon on the rerun banner for the most part because a brand new 4-star's there. You don't release them enough. They're not viable enough. But I don't know anyone that uses Booling. If you use Booling, comment down below. I don't know anyone that uses Booling.
And now for the moment you've all been waiting for. Where do I currently think that Aemeath stands in the meta?
Yes!
Well, I have to say, she is meta-breaking. This character has reached new heights with damage. Like, she is the new ceiling. I would be very surprised if any time within the next 6 or so months, Kuro Games released a character that was anywhere near as powerful as this.
Oh my god, really?
Let's just keep this as the ceiling for a while.
Is she gonna be the Shorekeeper of DPS? Because even when Carthea came out, she wasn't the Shorekeeper of DPS. She wasn't like the top dog of DPSs. She was among them, but you had Carlotta, you had Zani. If you used Zani with her premium team being Phoebe and Shorekeeper, Zani was up there. You know, and then, you know, Carthea was up there as well. You had like a lot of good DPS units. Brant was up there. Brant was pretty cool. I think he was the worst out of the 4. But you had Carlotta, Carthea, Zani, Brant, Frolova. They released a lot of powerful DPSs, but now I'm hearing this is the ceiling of where it is. Insane.
Alright, Kuro? Yeah. This unit is just nuts, and if you get sequences on her, holy crap, it just gets crazier. Now, I will say that Aemeath honestly doesn't really need the help. Like, yes, you can get her S1 and S2, but she doesn't need the help. I'm honestly just gonna say, hold onto your corals for DPS that needs the help more. She is already so inherently...
What? To be honest, I don't have any corals left. I use them on my S1 Mornier. If I had enough corals, you goddamn right. If I had enough corals, you're goddamn right, I would have used them on Aemeath. Because if there's one thing people need to know about me, I'm a power-hungry maniac. I love just seeing big numbers, unga bunga, explosions. I am an animation whore, and I am a numbers whore when it comes down to damage output.
Broken that unless you want to destroy the game ×2, you can keep her at S0. Sequences aren't necessary. Or
Yes, they are.
if you just want to get sequences because you love the character, that's fine too. And obviously they're gonna be good value because they're on a strong character. I'm just saying, dude, she doesn't need the help. She really doesn't need the help. It's gonna be strong, but holy crap, she's already insane as is. So yeah, very strong character. Kuro Games honestly cooked in every aspect of this unit. And I have to say, I originally was not expecting to like this character as much as I did. I was excited for her. I was very excited for her release. But that was because I was excited for her gameplay. I was excited to have her on my account and test her out with my gear and stuff. And I liked her character design, and I liked Nanami's Star Trail. But I didn't expect them to really connect me with this character, with how good her story was. But goodness me, they managed. They really did manage. So this character is a 10 out of 10 in every aspect to me, but all around, I have to say, meta-wise, she is an absolute game breaker. She is really fun to use. I love how dynamic her gameplay is. And yeah, great job, Kuro Games. This is
Perfect. Another great video from Juice. Go like, subscribe, her video, and go support the CC. Yeah. Okay, there we have it. Aemeath is number 1. Aemeath is super broken. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. If you stayed to the end, I appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy. Have a good rest of your day.